This is the Rich Stevens Radio Network.
Well, hey, what are you doing? Hope you're having a great Thursday so far. Did I catch you by surprise? I hope not, but it is Rich Stevens, and here's what we're talking about today. A suspect is, in fact, in custody for that awful massacre of 9 Americans in Mexico. Donald Trump Jr. may have revealed the name of the whistleblower. The Kentucky governor is challenging the election results, and Jeff Sessions, he says he's going to run for his old Senate seat back again. As I said, hi and welcome. I'm Rich Stevens. Thanks for being here. So, Trump Jr. yesterday tweeted out what he said was the name of the anonymous whistleblower who filed the complaints, alleging that the president withheld aid to the Ukrainians until they agreed to investigate Joe Biden and his son. So, Trump Jr.'s tweet came as the president and Senator Rand Paul have called on the media to blow the whistle on the whistleblower by exposing his identity to the public. Now, the president tweeted a link to Breitbart News, an article that suggested the whistleblower is an anti-Trump and pro-Democrat. And the president tweeted, "There is no whistleblower. There is someone with an agenda against Donald Trump." Now, we know that the whistleblowers that come forward in any of these kind of cases is supposed to remain anonymous. But who cares at this point? Because this has gotten to a point where, I say the same thing every day. We're wasting tons of money and tons of time in the House, and nothing's getting done. And you should have the right to know who's blowing a whistle against you. We do know, supposedly, that this person is an analyst for the CIA. And apparently, if you look at certain websites, his name has been circulated around, but he hasn't officially come forward. I think he should come forward. And especially now, because the impeachment case against the president will be on TV starting next week. A week from yesterday, next Wednesday. And the stars are going to be the 3 U.S. diplomats who was very worried about how the president was dealing with Ukraine by withholding aid until they announced they'd investigate Joe and Hunter Biden. Now, as a possible preview of what we're going to see on TV starting Wednesday, this might be television, might be. Very, I'm putting the air quotes up, might be as big as the O.J. Bronco chase, or whatever you want to call that, back in 1995. But anyway, the lawmakers behind this investigation released the testimony of William Taylor. Now, this William Taylor, who testified the other day, testified in a closed-door private hearing. So why did the Democrats release his testimony? Which doesn't make any sense to me. But he was the leading American diplomat in Ukraine. Now, he says that the Trump administration planned to force Kiev to probe the Ukrainian energy company Burisma was designed to help President Trump win the re-election in 2020. Now, in the transcript, Taylor said, "I understood the reason for investigating Burisma was to cast Vice President Biden in a bad light." And speaking of lights, it's going to be very interesting how this all plays out. And I think it's going to turn out to be a big nothing burger. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know how you feel about that, but it just really bothers me that we're wasting so much time and energy on this stuff. And meanwhile, we still, Congress hasn't voted to stick with Florida's vote to keep the time change non-existent. Just keep it in one time zone. Again, we voted for that. It passed unanimously, and we have to wait for Congress to stop all this crap that they're doing and actually do some real business. Speaking of business, this is always a big event. The holiday cups from Starbucks, they're finally out. And the big question this year is, are they going to offend anybody? I mean, the past few years, the holiday cups have been at the center of I guess you could say, a battle over Christmas, which is really a real thing, and not just a way to get people worked up to draw ratings on television. Now, this year's cups from Starbucks, are they Christmassy enough? There's 4 different designs. And from what I've seen, I saw the pictures this morning, they're all Christmassy. There's 4 different ones. There's a red cup with green polka dots. There's a cup covered in red and white candy cane stripes with Starbucks printed over in green. There's a white cup with the words Merry Coffee printed over and over in red. Then they have a dark green cup with small white letters saying Merry Coffee, which is wrapped around it. Last year, to kick off their holiday drink menu, Starbucks gave out free reusable red cups, and then you'd get a 50-cent discount on the holiday drinks when you use that same cup. So people got really mad last year because they ran out of the free cups like within the first couple hours. And apparently Starbucks has not learned their lesson because they're doing it again. And you better hurry to Starbucks if you want to get one of the free reusable red cups. All you have to do, and this is today, all you have to do this morning or this afternoon is go into a Starbucks and order a holiday drink. You'll get 50 cents off holiday drinks after 2 p.m. through the first week of January if you bring back the cup. But as I said, last year, they ran out in the first couple hours. And so when you're getting your holiday drink, you won't be able to get the gingerbread latte, by the way, which debuted during Christmas 19 years ago. And for some reason, they just decided to get rid of it. I guess it wasn't selling as much as it should have been. You know, I was just telling you about the time change. And I have to tell you that it's totally screwed up my life. And it will probably be screwed up for the next week and a half or 2 weeks. That's usually how long it takes my body to adjust to this. Now, until the story I'm about to tell you about came to light, no pun intended, I thought it was just me. But here's the deal with the time change. This study comes out of Vanderbilt University, and they say that daylight saving time actually has a long-term negative effect on our brains. And not only that, but it could lead to serious and fatal health problems. So let me explain to you why. Most of the year is daylight saving time. So that means we're not getting as much bright morning light as we should. And that light is crucial to keep our biological clocks in sync. Remember, I told you my biological clock, forget about it. So when you don't get that, it can have a long-term negative effect on our brains. It makes us less energetic, less alert, and increases our chances of heart attacks and strokes. I don't have to tell you, that's not a good thing. So I wish Congress would get on the ball and approve it in Florida so we don't have to, go back and forth and fall forward and fall backwards and all this kind of stuff. There's a gun problem in our country. We all know this. But in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, big city, I love Columbus, Ohio. It's so spread out. A 6-year-old kid took a loaded handgun to school in his backpack. Don't worry, nobody was hurt, thank God. But this happened a couple days ago at the public charter school's Kids Care Elementary in Columbus. We don't know the identity of the boy, obviously. But he told another kid in school about the gun, and that kid, 6 years old, was smart enough to tell the teacher. And apparently the kid got the gun from the home where he lives with his grandparents. And the gun was reported missing by the grandfather. Now, police aren't sure why the boy took the gun to school, but the kid was taken to the police station, and they talked to him about the incident. Now, he's 6 years old. Obviously, they can't put him in jail or anything. And thank God that, nobody was shot or even that the gun was fired. But people that own guns and have younger people in the house, and especially today more than ever, they should be held responsible if they don't secure their weapons properly and allow a kid, a 6-year-old kid, to get a hold of the weapon. It's really scary what could have happened here. And by the way, there's another report that just came out late last night. It's from the American Psychological Association. They do this every year. It's called Stress in America. Now, this year, they say the most significant source of stress for everybody who's participated in this research is mass shootings. 71% of respondents considered them a significant source of stress. And believe it or not, stress over mass shootings is only a little bit higher than stress over healthcare, which comes in at 69%. 56% of the people in the survey said the 2020 presidential election is a big source of stress, which isn't much higher than the 2016 election. 55% of survey participants said they worry about paying off healthcare debt, a stress that had increased compared to last year, included climate change, and that really stressed out a lot of people. 56% this year, 51% last year. Sexual harassment also saw it up rising from 39% in 2018 to 45% on this one. And the average overall stress level of respondents actually stayed the same this year compared to 2018. So on a scale of 1 to 10, the average reported stress level was 4.9 in both 2018 and in this new one. Now, the stress levels, of course, vary by, how old you are. Generation Z adults reported the highest average stress level of 5.8, followed by Generation X at 5.5, millennials at 5.4, and the baby boomers 4.2, and older people 3.0. So it's not your imagination. If you're feeling stressed out about this kind of stuff, you're not alone. You're not the only one. Speaking of not being the only one of the places when I grew up, I have such great memories of going to the Bronx Zoo. I loved going to the zoo. My mom and dad would always take me there. As a matter of fact, I can't remember who it was, but somebody, and I hope they're not listening right now because don't take offense to this, but I think it was a relative of mine actually got married at the Bronx Zoo, which has got to be one of the weirdest things. But I heard it's not like, where everybody is. They have a separate place where you can, I don't know. Anyway, do you remember the Lion Queen back a couple months ago that jumped into the animal enclosures and she was arrested originally, and then they let her go. She was arrested again yesterday. Her name is Maya Autry, and she was arrested in Brooklyn by the Barclays Center. So she was taken in the 52nd Precinct. That covers the northern Bronx. And they put criminal trespass charges for the stunt that she pulled. And they were able to identify her because of the Wild Zoo stunt, where she was, I have it wrong. Actually, she was detained by the zoo police, which is security guards. So anyway, she posted pictures and some videos of herself inside the animal enclosures, including the lion's den. I mean, this woman is like crazy. So she's been wanted for criminal trespass before she got arrested yesterday. She put the videos on Instagram, and it was just unbelievable. She also put these rants that were like an hour long. She was drinking green juice from a wine glass, and she was blasting music while she was wearing this medieval style white kind of crazy outfit. So it's a good thing they got her, and she's in jail this morning. The situation with drones here in the United States is getting to a point where they're trying. I was watching this program on PBS. My sister called me the other night. She says, you got to watch this program. It's all about artificial intelligence, better known as AI. And I'm so glad I was able to watch it because there's so many things that are happening in the artificial intelligence world. And I really believe that drones fall into that category. And here's proof, because yesterday, drones made the first home prescription deliveries from CVS. And the company's called UPS Flight Forward. They have these drones, and they actually flew the scripts or medications to the front lawn of a private house and also to a retirement center. They did this in North Carolina. Now, the way they did this, they lowered the packages from the drones, which are up above at about 20 feet, and then they lowered them down on a little basket. This is a drone with nobody there. It just did it on its own. So UPS and CVS say that the deliveries were the first of their kind under this program, which in fact has been approved by the FAA. So this is, if it's successful as it was, they're going to put this in other areas throughout the country as well. I think I could live without that. I still rather go into the CVS, and every time I go into CVS, there's a problem at the pharmacy. And I don't know why. It's just me with my medications. I better not talk about it. But anyway, the other thing that bothers me And I think Burger King was probably, or they get the credit for this. But have you noticed that what do you call that? The Wonderful Whopper or whatever it was, the plant-based thing, you don't see those commercials anymore. They took them off, which is really odd and interesting at the same time. But ever since they had that, I noticed there's a lot more commercials on television for all these plant-based everythings. So this shouldn't surprise you. There's a company in San Francisco called Eclipse Foods, and they've created the first ice cream from a plant-based product. They're calling it Eclipse. Now, the company got in contact with a few ice cream shops in San Francisco and a couple in New York City. And a rep from the National Milk Producers Federation replied when they were asked for comments. They said the vegan products just ain't ice cream. They aren't ice cream because there's no cream involved. So to have ice cream, you need milk. And plants don't produce milk because plants don't have, stuff where the milk comes out. So I just think this plant stuff is out of control. I have no desire to try that Whopper, by the way, either. I think what they should have done is they should have had the commercials on television and then given away free samples, and then maybe I would have tried it. But I'm not going to pay for it. You take one bite, you don't like it, you're out like $6 or whatever the thing costs. By the way, I told you yesterday about this Arctic air mass. It's going to be sweeping across the eastern two-thirds of the U.S. over the next few days. There are tons, millions and millions of people are going to be affected by this. And they're saying that this cold air is coming in Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week, which is going to be really bad along the East Coast. Now, the temperatures are forecast to be more than 20 degrees below normal for large portions of the Midwest, Northeast, and Mid-Atlantic. We're going to have a cold front here in South Florida as well, but not really a cold front. It's like a cool front. It's going to go into the high 60s, which is nice weather. But the low temperatures on the rest of the country expected to go down into the single digits across the northern plains by Sunday morning, and the Arctic air is going to also promote the possibility of heavy lake effect snow over the central Great Lakes by next Tuesday. I got to tell you, when I lived in Michigan, I had no idea what the lake effect snow was until I was late for work one day. The alarm, I guess, didn't go off, or it did, and I looked outside and it was still dark, so I went back to sleep because it was always light when I would get up. And then my girlfriend woke me up and she says, "Why are you still home?" And I said, "What do you mean? It's still dark out. The alarm went off the wrong time." She said, "No, it's not." And again, I look out the window and realize the windows were covered up by snow. There was like a 12-foot drift of snow in front of the windows. That was the lake effect snow. Tons of it. It was always, it came down like sideways. Sideways is not a good way to go, but there's a guy, this happened in Florida, of course, this Pasco County near Tampa, and a guy shot at a wrong car in a road rage situation. The guy told the police that he thought he was shooting at the car, that it was driven by a man who just got into a fight with each other, and he believed that the guy tried to kill him. So by accident, he fired at the car of a woman who had been stuck in traffic just a few yards ahead of him. 3 of the shots hit the car, shattered the glass, caused some minor injuries. The woman was taken to the hospital. She's expected to be okay. Of course, the guy has been arrested. Now, while we're on the topic of Florida, there was a woman that was kidnapped. This was in Naples, and she was rescued after she slipped a note to a guy in a gas station behind the counter. Now, apparently the woman was picked up by a guy she knew, but then they got into an argument. That's when he hit the woman, dragged her into his truck. She was in fear for her life, pretended to pass out, and then she asked the guy to stop at a gas station so she could get some food. And that's when she wrote the note, and one stated, "Please call 911," and the other said that she was hurt. And then she locked herself in the bathroom and waited for police to arrive, and thankfully the guy took it seriously and called, so she was rescued. And a couple hours later, they found the guy and arrested him. It's a crazy world we live in. another problem with those self-driving cars from Uber, I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm ready to get into any driverless car. The Uber self-driving car has no driver in it at all. But the one that struck and killed a woman in Arizona last year in March, they say it had some really bad software flaws, including the inability to recognize jaywalkers. So if somebody's crossing the street in the wrong place, they can't figure it out. So the NTSB said that the software from these Uber cars just didn't recognize this 49-year-old woman as a pedestrian crossing the street. So it didn't calculate that it could potentially collide with her until 2 seconds before impact, at which point obviously it was too late to brake. And the NTSB said that also Uber's system design did not include a consideration for jaywalking or pedestrians. That's scary stuff. And again, it all has to do with us getting, I think we're advancing too fast. I really do. And I'm a big tech fan. I love technology. I love new technology. I traveled to Japan several years ago just to see and buy some new technology, but some things just, and again, back to the show that I was watching on PBS the other night, the AI stuff is even scarier because it could actually eliminate, they said, 50% of our workforce. And don't kid yourself, AI is already being used for many different companies and products and warehouses. I mean, Amazon has a ton of people working for them, but they also have robots that will pick and choose the products that need to get sent out. That should make you think twice. And again, AI in certain things, I think it's really cool, but some of it is just really, I think, too advanced, too quickly. By the way, there's a recall I got to tell you about. This company, it's a produce company again. They say that 100 of their vegetable products from stores here in the United States and Canada, including Florida, fears that they could be contaminated with Listeria bacteria. Now, the FDA and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency told Man Packing that their products had a potential contamination with the bacteria. No, so far no illnesses have been reported, but the company said they're doing a broad sweeping recall. Mostly applies to any products with broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, Brussels sprouts, and cabbages, and they're just doing it supposedly out of an abundance of caution. But Man Packing is warning Americans to check their vegetables for the best if enjoyed by dates between October 11th and November 16th. If you have one of those, it could be contaminated. And the stuff that this bacteria can actually do is pretty bad, besides, of course, runs to the bathroom, fever. If you're pregnant, it could cause a miscarriage. Not good stuff. And Listeria is mostly found in deli meat and hot dogs and different spreads and dairy products, even certain cheeses, smoked seafood, and sprouts. But it could find its way into other foods as well. And there's usually a few outbreaks a year, but we never really hear about that stuff. I got another story that we probably never hear about. If you're the kind of person that has to have the best of everything, there's a gold toilet that has a bulletproof seat. It has more than 40,000 diamonds, and it's going on sale for over $1 million. Now, they had this at a trade fair in Shanghai. 40,815 diamonds, weighs about 335 carats on total, all of them. That's been embedded in the toilet's bulletproof seat. Now, the manufacturer in Hong Kong is currently attempting a Guinness World Record for the posh toilet. I mean, I guess if you have a lot of money and you don't know what else to do, there you go. There's something you can do. Did you know that 65% of people say they forget someone's name and they just avoid using it? Only 25% would ask them to repeat it. So there's a new method that will help you prevent forgetting the name in the first place. There's actually 6 different things. First of all, you got to focus. Don't let yourself get distracted by something, including your own social anxiety. If you're really in the moment, you won't forget so easily. Then there's number 2. It says repeat their name back to them immediately. So if I say, hi, I'm Rich, you should just say, hi, Rich. And say, Rich, nice to meet you. It helps your brain process it. Number 3 is associated with something meaningful to you, like that you have a tomcat, or that your favorite actor might be Tom Hanks, or your favorite radio guy would be Rich. So think Rich or get rich. The 4th is a mental image between the person and your association. Like if their name is Victoria, and it reminds you of Queen Victoria, picture them wearing a crown. The stupider the better, because these stupid things are more memorable. Number 5 is connect their appearance to their name. Like maybe Victoria's wearing a V-neck sweater, and that V alone might make you remember later on. And finally, number 6, keep repeating their name. Rich, 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 like that. And say it again in a conversation a few minutes later. Then again, as you're saying goodbye, and maybe even to yourself in the car when you leave, because repeating it over and over again helps make it a long-term memory, so that could actually help you, easier way to remember people's names. Sometimes I have a problem like that, but not always. Listen, my name is Rich, R-I-C-H, Stevens with a V, Rich Stevens. You can check out my website, and you should, because there's some great stuff there, especially on the blog, richstevensshow.com. And you could always reach out, 305-707-7878, 305-707-7878. And did I mention that, depending on where you're listening right now, you can get the Rich Stevens Show on Amazon's Echo devices. So if you have an Alexa device, that will, all you do is enable the Rich Stevens Show, and you can listen right on there. So I got you covered. Get rich everywhere. Thanks so much for listening today. I really do appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful Thursday. One more day, and we're home free to the weekend and the cold front, or cool front, here in South Florida. Have a great Thursday, and thanks for listening. I really do appreciate it.